Hey, welcome to this very special episode of Seduction Tech. And I have someone very special, obviously, because that's why the episode is special. I have Franziska in Spanish. If you want to get really passionate, Franziska.
I want
Right?
that.
You like the Franziska. You take it wherever you want to take it. If you can speak another language, it might be other ways. But she's a relationships expert, a relationship coach, someone that I found through Substack, and I was, like stuff gets kind of in the timeline, and you read one thing, and you read another thing, and then you just start, and I started seeing your stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is everything that you were saying was so hard hitting, and it was so amazing that I was like, who is this? So I had to subscribe. And then here we are, because I was like, I need to talk to you. I need to pick your brain. So how are you, Francisca? Tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
So I'm good. Thank you. And thank you for that very lovely introduction. I really like it. So as you said, I'm a coach for men in the realm of relationships. So I help men decode women or their women and, kind of use that as a compass to step into their, rooted masculinity where they feel in their power and they are the most attractive to women. So this is what I do. And I'm
That's
a mom
perfect.
of 3, if this is, interesting for
You're
you
a mom of
too.
3, and you do all of this too. Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
it is,
That's a lot.
but I like it.
Yeah, no, but yes, and at some point, it's kind of like it shows your resiliency, right? Because you could easily just kind of give up and just be a mom of 3, right? And you're still looking for to doing something more. Like you can't just sit there. You got to do something more. So that says a lot about you. So
It
that's
really
great.
is. It really is my passion. So
That's great, and especially with men, like we don't really like to ask for help when it comes to relationships. We feel like we're born knowing it all. Even as a teenager, even though we know nothing, we never admit that we don't know anything, and we go through life just learning the hard way and never learning. So I think what the information that you give already, and also I'm sure that your coaching sessions can really help a man really man up, like really get the perspective of a woman from a woman's perspective and learn that way. Do you feel like the clients that you get, how do they get to you? Do they already come like kind of broken, like I can't take it anymore? Or are there men that are good and they just want to be better?
it's mostly that. So they have issues or they have a woman that they desperately want to have. And, so they have some initiation point where they feel like they could use some help. And then they come, but it's usually there are men who know that their life is like the outcome of their life is connected to them. So it's their responsibility. And, and then they're already ready to look into the mirror, which is basically the main thing. And you said that you can't ask for help. And I know exactly what you mean. But also you're kind of made to do it that way, right? So you are trained to already know, and then you try to perform. And the funny thing is that the deeper you are willing to look into the mirror and to face yourself, the more you can grow. So what you deem as something weak or vulnerable is actually the biggest strength, because it gets you where you want to be then in the end. And it feels like a detour, but we have to do that. We can't just like have it all, we have to do something for that. We have to work for that.
Wow, that's really deep. So, in a lot of your stuff, you mentioned something that I've been trying to take into heart, and it's kind of that performance is lost on women, right? Like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Because that really has like mind boggle me. But what does it mean from your perspective?
Well, if you perform for a woman, like it doesn't appeal to her body, and you want to appeal to her body and her instincts. You want her to feel you in her body before you even touch her. So, and performance is actually like a way to manipulate her, because it's all about outcome. It's goal oriented and it's in the future. Whereas presence, and this is where you want to be present with her, is in that moment. And women are very much in the moment. Women are very feeling based. Of course they can think, that's not a question, but they're very feeling and nervous system based. So they need you to be in that moment with her. They need you to be present and not run away and not be like in the next thing. And of course they don't want to be manipulated by you. So that's why performance is lost on women. They also say, like, sexually, you can't really go deep then. You're so in that, also like, are you doing it right? And, like you're just with yourself, but you're not with her. And she wants you to be with her, like to have your attention on her.
Wow. So like just being present. Yeah, because I see what you mean then, that we're worried about the persona that we create or in a certain way, and we're thinking about what's my next move. So you're not really looking at what she's doing. You're looking at what you're going to do next. You're thinking of what am I going to do next? Not I'm going to respond to her now and whatever she's doing now.
Exactly.
So, wow. So hopefully we can, that's a big piece of key information there, because most men, I think that's another thing. We grow up having to become men, and even before we're ready, and we're these boys trying to act a certain way for our friends, for everybody around us. And we never get out of that. We always like in a performance mode. We can never let our guard down. So we're not paying attention to you. So when, they tell us, hey, you gotta be this interesting person for you, and we're acting and we're performing, what do you think will make the difference between someone that's interesting, that keeps your attention, being themselves, and someone that's boring? Because then if a man is not performing, is he boring or no?
No.
Tell me about that.
Why a man becomes boring? Because he doesn't allow for his edge to be there. So he kind of tries to please and to make others be comfortable. Because if like a man really rooted in masculinity, he makes other people uncomfortable. And we all are raised to be comfortable for other people, and it's kind of easy. So I'm kind of pleasing. And this is exactly what takes away your edge. And for men, it's in addition to that, most of you learned, at least from my perspective, you learned that your edge, your masculinity is dangerous. So you have to kind of stuff it away. And the narratives in society, they very much tell you that you're dangerous. And if you believe that, you soften your edges, but you need your edges. So it's often people say a safe man is a boring man. So she will either choose the safe one or the bad guy. And this is kind of the two variations we have, apparently, the nice guys and the assholes. But they are just two sides of the same coin, and they both act from fear in different ways. But a really safe man is also an exciting man, because what makes him safe is also that he's able to protect her. And in order to be able to protect her, he needs to be dangerous. So this is what you need. And we have all these stories around women and men. They're so false and so misleading. I'm sorry, I have a fly here. And it all gets into this narrative of women and men are just not compatible. We're just thrown on this planet, and now we have to procreate, and well, bam. But actually it's a perfect design. And if we understand it right, and we really need to stop believing the stories that we are told actually on a daily basis. So they're just false, mainly.
Well, so when you say dangerous, right? Because there's the animalistic side, like the biology of danger. Like, one wants to be, let's say, protected from wild animals or whatever
A
dangers
bear.
are, or other dangers of maybe economic dangers where like she doesn't want to feel stress over money or things like that. How do you see danger if you were to define it?
Well, any kind of danger, but I would say it like mostly in the primal sense. So I would say for a man, it's crucial to be able to fight, or even to be able to, well, for you, this is maybe more popular, but here in Germany, many people, like many men, couldn't use a gun, you know? And I think it's very hot in men if they can. But it comes down to being able to defend themselves and defend me in the end. So, and I think like martial arts are great for men, you know, also like CrossFit, but everything that trains your body and your spirit for this warrior, that's just great. And this is what many men are missing nowadays in the Western societies. So I think it might differ a bit between the US and Germany, but not so much, probably.
Wow, that's deep. So guys, let me see. Let me write that down. Sign up for karate class. No, but I see exactly what you mean. Like you actually, even as men, you want to be around other men that are ready for anything, right? Like you don't, you're not just, I mean, I see the women, the seductive part of that, but as a man, you feel better with men that are at a certain caliber that if something happens, we're all going to fight.
Yeah.
And that you don't want to be around weak men either. So I think for poor weak men that, no one wants to be around you. But I think that's just what you say, that they can unlock that, right? You're not born a weak man. I think that you just don't develop into a strong man. Or how do you think a weak man can become strong?
Absolutely. I think everyone can become everything. So, and there's, in my eyes, in every man, there's this great man, and it looks different for every man, but in general, there's like this, like a foundational energy. And this is what I'm talking about so much. It's this masculine energy that you bring to the table, and that makes you feel safe in yourself and makes women feel safe with you. So, and everyone has the capacity to go there, but we have like a lot of deranging factors right now in society. We have like quick dopamine all the time, which is the opposite of any masculine energy. And we have so many things that weaken people. And this is a problem for women too. But, I think especially for men, they might suffer more from that. Maybe not. I don't know. But like, we have to really, like, a man I know, he once said, if you want to be a great man, you can't follow society. And this is very true. And it's true for women too. We can't follow what society tells us, because society doesn't have the recipe, the narratives are bullshit. Mostly.
Wow. I think you should do coaching for women too.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Yes, because the way you think is so freeing. Because, for example, having this conversation, I feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. I have these thoughts that you're thinking. And I think most men, we do, but we have to suppress them and go, no, but I have to behave this way because society wants me. And to find someone that can say, hey, no, F society, do whatever you want to do. There's something freeing there. Do you think that maybe, well, you spoke about it in your last relationship about that nice guy syndrome. Do you think that we just become these nice guys because we think that that's what you want, or because society wants that? And can a woman, or should a woman, help that guy not be nice? Or if he's nice, it's just girls move on because that's the way he is. He's not going to change.
Well, it depends on the woman, but in general, and this is one approach to one like basic approach to my work is that she mirrors you. So you can tell from how women in your life are with you. It tells you a lot where you stand in regards to your masculinity, because they mirror you. Because we are, like women, the feminine energy. We all have both, right? We have masculine and feminine energy. But if women have more of this feminine energy, and they find their power in the feminine energy. And we are very much like, the feminine is all about opening, softening, receptiveness, surrender, all these things that men want from women, basically, and nourishing. And these things can only come when they feel safe. So you can tell from how she behaves with you where you stand as a man. And this is like, it's a very potent compass that you just can use for free. You just have it. Like, if she doesn't want to open with you, if she holds back, if she shrinks for you, you are not where you want to be. You're not there yet.
So how do we get a woman to open? How do we get, well, I know there's probably not like one way, but what do you think is something that puts you on a good track to make her feel safe enough to open with you? And I know that you challenge men a lot as like, have you really experienced that? And, it made me question. I'm like, cause you think you have, but have I? I don't know. So how can you define that openness, and how do we get there? And how do we know that we have experienced it or not?
That's a good question. So
you talk about it. So you made the good question yourself, because you put it on us. Like, have you experienced this? And I'm like, wait, what does that feel like? And
yeah,
I want to. I don't know if I have, and I think if I have, I probably would know. So it just took my mind somewhere else.
Yeah. So the way to get there is mainly self-leadership. So because it has to be rooted in masculinity means also to lead. So you know a way, and you can lead whoever is associated to you there. And the first thing is that you have to learn is to lead yourself. So it means you have to face yourself. You have to look into the mirror, and you have to see what is there. Because if you don't know what is there, like, how would you lead that? If you have a group of kids to lead and you don't know any of them, like, how would you do that? So you have to see what is driving you. And because if you especially don't look at your dark places, your shadow, your demons, however you want to call it, they will dictate you like big time. And this makes you a very unsafe man. And women can feel that. So, and if you are able to lead yourself, and we feel that you're courageous and you're strong and you have all it takes, you have this natural authority, we love to follow you because we feel safe with you. And the other question, when to know if you experience it, you just know, like, if you are this man, the woman, I don't want to say every woman, because there's still some, like compatibility things, but in general, women just throw themselves at you. That's just how it is, because we feel it, and it's so attractive, and it's so rare, it's so if you want to stick out, just do that. Like, this is the way to stick out. And you will feel it in her surrender, she will be super open. She will be super soft. She will be super wet. She wants to have sex with you all the time, all these kinds of things. Everything you want. You don't have to force it. But by being this man, it just happens. It's just because it triggers her body and her instincts. It's like you appeal to her instincts. This is like the subtitle of my work. This is what you want. Because her head, like her mind, that's not interesting. That's what we try right now, because we are so evolved. We have feminism now, blah, blah, blah. But our bodies are not so evolved, and they don't care. They react to certain triggers. And this is true for men and for women. And if we don't include that, we don't have a basis. We're still starving on this primal level.
Wow. That is so deep because, it's almost like if you let yourself go, and I'm analyzing them for myself, right? Like if you let yourself go and just be the man you are, just be that man without the act, without the trying, without the pushing, and that kind of unlocks her to mirror, like you're saying, and she'll be the woman that she is. Would that be
Yes.
a good assessment of your point?
Well, yeah, not fully, I would say, because, where so many dating tips go wrong is that they focus on the moment where you are with that woman. But actually, when you are with that woman, all that she reacts to is who you are. And this is built in silence. This is what the Stoics say all the time, right? So it's, you have to build this foundation. If you build yourself as a man, if you take yourself seriously and you put in the work, so you do workouts, you face yourself, as I said, you really, you work on being, that sounds so flat, but you're the best version of you. And not in a performative way, but in you really getting to know yourself. This is where confidence comes from. And you learn how to lead yourself. This is what she will feel. And this is when you don't have to perform. But I wouldn't recommend saying, like, you don't have to do anything and just like let it loose and then she will love it. That's not the case. So
you're saying do it when you are that man, when you have done all the work to become that prototype man, then you can do that. But don't do it from a weak, like, oh, I'm just this weak man, so I'll open up as a weak man. And yeah,
not recommending that now.
Yeah, do the work. But one thing is that a lot of men, we tend, we know the advice. Okay, go become better. Get yourself up financially, physically, mentally, all of that. It's great advice. It's hard to do when you are at a hole. You're at a bad place. Oh, get up, go to the gym. It's not that simple to transition from a bad place to this man that's out there getting it done. Do you have any, like, what would you tell a client that's in that bad place? Because what they need to do is the work to get better, but they're just not going to have the motivation to do it. What would you say to motivate someone there to help them transition to becoming better?
I don't motivate them. I just be with them because I know we all have these phases. We go through different stages and sometimes we feel sadness, we feel depression, maybe grief, anger, like all these are kinds of the human experience. And I know that one part of this whole journey of becoming like a grown up, so to speak, is to feel these things, to allow for these feelings to be there. And this is also one part how men become present, how they can be present with her, whatever it is. Because if he can handle his own shit, his own emotions, if he can stay present with that and not run away, then he can stay present with her too. If not, he will push it down in her too, which is the opposite of opening her and making her surrender and stuff. So we need to learn to accept that there are phases where it is about feeling the feeling. We can't just like push it away. That's not how it works. And the deeper we go into these unpleasant things, the more we can be present in life and in love and with our lovers and in intimacy. And also the more pleasure we can feel. This is how you unlock more pleasure in your system too. This is also very crucial for women, because it's opening the body. And we all are, like, most of us are very tense.
Wow. Just because you are amazing. Like I hope that guys listening to this are taking notes and also hopefully use what you have, because I think when you have someone like yourself that has access to this information and is willing to help men, because a lot of times we have other men that probably are worse than us giving us advice, right? We get worse and worse because we don't really have an outlet. And when you have someone like yourself that, this is something to take advantage of and go, hey, let me get a woman's perspective. I'm here in this rut and nothing I'm doing is working. Sometimes you can't even talk to your friends. They'll just make fun of you. We don't have that. And I think to have someone like you to just go, hey, this is, this is a perspective. And I think that it's hard to argue with you because I'm not a woman. So how am I going to tell you what you feel or don't feel? But and I know we're running out of time. So I wanted to get to I have no segue to this next part, but I really want to get to this because, it's probably almost like the clickbait for the episode. Because when I was, reading through some of your stuff, there was a note on Substack. Your Substack, what is this? What's your Substack?
What's it called?
Yes.
The Man She Wants.
The Men She, look at that. Wow. So on Substack, if you guys are not there, make sure you get there. The Man She Wants. I'll make sure to link all of her social media, especially her Substack, so you can read some of the stuff. And it was late at night here in the United States. So I'm like, and then it was a thought. I don't think that you were trying to say it. You were just saying that there was a difference between, clitoral orgasm and a penetration orgasm. And I kind of knew that biologically, right? But one thing that you said was that one of them will cost you a headache if you had it at the wrong time. And I was like, wait, it's this complex? To men, it's like, it's just orgasm, right? But we already know, okay, there's a clitoral one and then there's the penetration one. But I didn't know that those had consequences beyond just the orgasm. So can you tell me a little bit about that particular note and explain to us men that are going to be like, what? And explain to us how that works. And maybe some women that listen to what you were saying, they might not even realize that kind of orgasm may give them a headache as well. They don't even put it together. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I can. It's very funny. So what I didn't mean is that clitoral orgasms cause headaches. That's not what I was talking about. But for me, when I'm tensed up already and I have clitoral orgasms, they tense me up more. And I have I don't know, the pressure gets more. And the thing with clitoral orgasms, I think there are exceptions for that, but for the most part, it comes with tension. So it comes with contraction. And this means this is also what most people do and most men do too, that they tense up when they orgasm and they squeeze it out. And the opposite to that, or the other thing that you can have, is a very broad orgasm. And I mean, basically you can come from any body part. So men and women, but they are more like the vaginal orgasms, the deeper orgasms. They make you wider and softer. And also you need to be softer. Many women don't have them, but not because they can't. That's another bullshit narrative that some women can, some women can't. Some are so privileged and the others are not. Sucks for them. But that's not true. We all are able to get there. Just as every man can be a great man. And for women, they can have all these orgasms, but often it needs work to get there. And the work often is in softening and opening. And this is where men can really, really, participate and help. Often women, usually they don't have vaginal orgasms, but then they have the story of this one man with them. They had a vaginal orgasm, and it's always a man who made them feel safe and very desired and wanted. And he had just the right amount of edge, but also super gentleman and stuff. It's always the same story. So, and this is on a physical level, what happens if you're a safe man. she will open so much, and she might need some time to get there. It might not be like today, but you can really help her opening these spaces in her, because often it's blocked, like there can be trauma stored, and there can be stored emotions, and all this unleashes through that. So it can be that during that, she might have an orgasm, like a vaginal orgasm, and then she cries, or she has to throw up because something loosens in her. But she will not get there if she doesn't trust you to be able to hold her there. And this is, of course, about you, but it's also, of course, about her own history with men. And she might have like a general, general problem with men and with opening to men. Many women have that, but you could be the one to heal that in being consistent and being present and being there with her, and just like showing what a man can be. And this is so healing for women. And I'm really I'm speaking from experience here. It's really healing if there's a man who embodies that and who stays when you expect him to run, because this is what you're used to. Man who can't hold you, or, like this kind of being with you. And it was like, an origin point for this work. I felt like this willingness in men to be good and to really like also understand women and be loving and kind and so helpful, but often didn't know how exactly. And I knew that men have so much more impact on relationships than they think. And they can really, really assist women in growing into these wildly feminine creatures, which is up now, because right now we have female empowerment, and often it's like women as the better men. But what we actually want is feminine empowerment. This is what we need in this world, in my eyes.
Wow, that is so deep. So there's so much there. There's so much. That's a whole episode, because it's almost like, and I'm making jest of this, but like you got to be a psychologist to cause a certain kind of orgasm. Like almost, like you're saying afterwards, right? Like she knows that if she opens up, or she maybe shouldn't even know it, but if she opens up and she has this intense experience, like you said, that can cause physical ache or crying or whatever it is, that you're going to be there and okay with that. And if she feels that you're not the type of man that she can trust around that, she won't even get to the beginning part of that.
Yeah.
But do you know this, or is it subconsciously something that happens?
Well, I know it, but I mean, it's part of my work, but many don't. It's just subconsciously. And that's what I mean. You have to appeal to her body and to her instincts. And you work on for a second. If you appeal to her mind only, you won't get anywhere. That's not fulfilling. I mean, many do that. Many try that. Many want like a certain move to make or like a performance or something to do on her. If that would work, I mean, we have so many magazines with how to make her squirt and how to bring her to G-spot and cervical orgasm, whatever. If that would work, it would work. But it doesn't, because it's on a nervous system level. And we all have things to unpack, men and women. So, but this work is so worth it. It really is worth it, because all the things we desire so much that men desire in women, like, like to have the space where you also like nourish and you can rest your head in her lap, and you have this strong bond, and she opens, like she feels safe with you. And for her that she feels safe with you, and she can open, she can surrender, and she can let go. That's all these deep desires that are mostly not fulfilled, I would say. So many people have relationships, and so many relationships suck. And I think we are really in kids' shoes when it comes to relationships, because we're also in kids' shoes when it comes to our personal growth and where we stand. And there are we have these flat images of men and women and humans in general. And we need to deepen. And we do that by understanding, but we also do it by going deeper emotionally and physically. We really have to do that, because there we find the gold and also the empowerment for both men and women. And just like one thing for that, I don't think it's an accident that we have such an overflow in porn and distraction in general, because it all leads to disconnection with other people and with ourselves.
Wow. So thank you so much for this. I don't think the conversation is over. I think you're going to raise a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions. I think maybe one day we'll do a session with me. I have a lot of demons, like you call them. As you're talking, I'm like, wow, I've been that man where, you really don't want to bond or open up with women or make them feel safe. Not because I can't. I don't want to. I don't know if it's fear or, you don't want the attachment. I don't know what it is, but you feel like, yeah, I gotta kind of keep a little distance. And what you're saying is that little distance is what keeps the best stuff from happening.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. So I'm going to link all of the, how they can find you, how they can book a session. Guys, hey, do not be too much of a man to book a session from a woman that's going to help you, listen to you without judgment, right? Because that's another thing. Like, I don't think these are conversations we can have with just any woman, right? I think that this is something that you got to talk to someone like yourself that knows what they're talking about and can help you. Because if the woman that you're trying to attract, you go to her with all these problems, that probably is also not going to be a good thing. And like, hey, I have these issues.
Can you help me?
It's not attractive.
No.
It's not attractive. So thank you so much for doing this. And if you have one piece of advice before you go to men, like one thing that you say, you know what, if nothing else you're not going to do anything else. If you're not going to be better anywhere else, what's one place that you should be better at, that if you're going to sacrifice everything else, what's one thing men should do to become better men?
I would say not believing that masculinity can be toxic or bad. Because the only thing that is toxic or bad in men is the absence of masculinity. And I wish for men really to let that sink down, because it's an audacity. This term is an audacity to every man. So I would love for men to not believe that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we can all look into this. Men and women. I think some women also have fallen into the wanting men to be less men in theory, right? But
in theory, yes. In theory. That's really a theory.
Yes, it's a wrong theory, but it's a theory. So thank you so much, Franziska.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.